Thank you, everybody. I'm lucky because my boss always put the best before the launch. So don't be worried. We will be share a lot of insight before you have the launch. I'm very glad to operate this kind of a panel discussion. You know that right now AI is very hot, and according to the IDC's report, every organization need to be AI ready in the future. And also, they are forecasting that by 2028, there will be almost 300 billion US dollars spending on AI-centric system. So AI right now is placing the company into a very critical position to driven the next generation of the innovation. But before that, we need to consider that how to safely harness this disruption. It's very important. So today we invite four expertise on AI to share their insight and suggestion about how to adopt AI, to find a balance between the opportunity and the risk brought by the AI. So the first question goes to the Vivi. Before that, I want to invite every panelist to introduce themselves first. Vivi?
Oh, sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Vivian. I am with Shop Plaza. I lead the financial service team at Shop Plaza. Shop Plaza is an e-commerce SaaS platform company that we provide product and services for global merchants to digitalizing and scale their businesses globally and to help them run their D2C website online, essentially.
Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Hubert. I'm from Neo4j. I'm the APAC head of channels and alliance. It's really an honor to be here on stage with you to talk about Gen AI and sharing some of the best practices in the industry. We have been Neo4j has been very forefront of AI and graph technology. We have been evangelizing AI across APAC. I'm very happy today to share some of the use cases and best practice to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Professor?
Hello, my name is Yang Yu. So I'm a professor at the National University of Singapore. So I got my PhD from UC Berkeley in 2020, and then I went to Singapore. So I'm also the founder of chairman of HPC AI Tech. So we wanted to make the training, fine-tuning, deployment of AI model cheaper, faster, and more efficient. So hopefully, by the year of 2027, we can make the training cost of ChatGPT reduced to just $10,000.
Wow, fantastic.
I'm William. Thanks for having me. So I'm from AI Singapore. We are the national AI program of Singapore government. So I'm leading the team that is behind the Sea Lion. That's the effort to build open source LLMs for Southeast Asia languages, Southeast Asia nuances. So under this project, we build the model, we build the data. We also work closely with our collaborators in public sector and private sectors, as well as regionally, to test the use cases, to do research as well with them. So outside of AI Singapore, I'm also an AI consultant with a small early stage startup focusing on making the internet a more productive place for collaboration. And beyond that, I contribute regularly to some of the tech communities in the region. So Data Science Singapore, Data Science Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. The first question goes to Vivian. How is AI transforming the business landscape and shaping the outlook beyond the value it can deliver today?
Yeah, sure. I can speak on behalf of what I've been observing and seeing in the industry. Specifically, I think e-commerce is an industry where there's tons of manual operations happening, and we see not only AI, but like more recently, generative AIs will become quite disruptive in how businesses in our industry operate. But specifically, if we look at decades forward, I think we will be seeing businesses being a lot more leaner, right? we are already seeing that a lot of companies don't have to run a very large operation teams to sustain and maintain the business operations that they need anymore. They don't need the designers of a large-sized designing team to produce all those materials or content that they would have otherwise need. So that's one trend, or one thing that we're seeing, and we also foresee that will accelerate. Secondly, we will see companies move a lot faster. The speed of prototyping will be a lot faster, right? Generative AI specifically has reduced dramatically from like ideation to prototyping. So I think, together with AI, the informations within large companies will also transmit a lot faster. Decision makings are now easier. So that's where we see that happening. In the context of the transformative changes that AI is bringing, we're also seeing the high demand rises for creative leaders that are even more in demand in organizations. Creative leaders not just handling paperworks, but they also have to embrace this AI technologies and being able to drive the AI strategies in their company, right? They have to influence the organizations to be open-minded, learning, and building a AI embracing culture, so that everyone in the organization knows how to use different kind of AI tools to make themselves more efficient. Lastly, I would say that business also have to understand the challenges arises with the AI technology, right? It's not just about embracing the technology itself. For example, we see fraudster attacks that are becoming more advanced with generative AI, and different kind of business have to understand that your traditional fraud detection solutions might not be enough, and you have to really up your game. We're also seeing, this explosion of informations, and digital content is diluting sometimes the insightful information. How do you navigate that? Data security is another big topic now, that data is quite important to build your AI capability, but now how do you make this data secure and meeting your customers' expectations when they trust you to give you data? Those are different challenges that arise when, as you embrace the technology. So I think organizations would have to ride the wave, hire the right people, bring in the right mindset, and just navigate and scale.
Thank you. Thank you. The second question goes to Hubert. Why it is critical for CIO IT leaders to have the people-centric mindset when harnessing the AI capability, be in practice or in design?
Thank you, Raymond. We had before this session, we have a discussion about, AI, of having risk, balancing risk and reward, right? And you see that today, a lot of enterprise jumping straight into developing the RAG, developing AI application. But the challenge is this, right? A lot of them don't know the risk that's involved. I mean, everybody has seen online on the news, some company inadvertently upload their data onto the cloud, right? You see that a lot. Again, a lot of this thing happens. The other challenge you see is that there's a lot of hallucination. Again, there's an adage that everything that happens on the internet is the truth, right? Yeah, and you do expect that in certain form, if AI respond to you, is that the truth as well? And you want to make sure that that is managed at the start, because you don't want to start to lose the trust, right? And then from then onward, everything that comes up from Gen AI or LLM is just not going to be the truth. In Neo4j, the way we look at AI is this, right? Everybody understands the right brain and the left brain comparison. So for us, LLM or Gen AI is the right brain, right? It's very, very good, right? You ask them, what is roses? Roses are red, violet are blue. If you compare to when you were going to classes, right? Long ago when you're going to classes, if you go to an English class, right? If you go to art class, right? This is what LLM does, right? If you ask, roses are red, and they say, maybe not so red. And then your teacher will give you more points, right? But if you're doing this on an application, like on the enterprise, if you're reporting a financial result, maybe you're profitable, maybe you're not. You can't have that kind of answer, right? So this is very much like a right brain and the left brain. Today, you know, the LLM is just very much on the right brain and just doesn't have the left brain. You know, if you go to a science class, if you go to art class, right, you mix blue and yellow, right, you get green, right? Very nice. The art teacher will give you maybe 5 stars. But you try and mix a blue chemical and a yellow chemical in the science class, probably don't give you a good result, right? Same thing, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. You cannot have enunciation, you cannot have if and buts. And this is where the challenge is, right? Because you know, LLM is so good at, it's also vectors and similarities. It's just not, it doesn't give you the right answer. The one you think that, what we see is that a lot of enterprises today are going for very, very specific knowledge base. They're trying to give you domain-specific knowledge, right? This is something that LLM doesn't give you, and it's something that is missing today. What we see a lot, you see RAG today will give you a very, very good way of answering some question, but that's not good enough, right? You want to have the secret sauce, right? If everybody develop an AI application, it's just going to be the same. But what makes you different, your application, right, is your company data. And that is the one that gives you the special sauce. And there's another adage as well. Like, you know, people say that you use 10% of your brain, right? Guess what? You know, 10% of all enterprise data are structured. The other 90% are unstructured, right? It's the same with the adage as well. If you're able to tap on to the 90% unstructured data, that will give you the gold mine. That will give you the special sauce to make your AI application different from the rest of your competitor. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Maybe
And then,
I can add one layer of dimension here is that, I mean, for one, our customers are still humans, yeah? They experience emotion and all that. I think it's very, very important to keep that in mind. And I agree with all the things that you said, right? I think when it comes to values, I think these LLMs are probably, you know, I think it's more like the right brain kind of thing. It's not there yet, right? Because of the work that I do, we actually deal with LLMs for Southeast Asia, right? This region, the values are quite different, right? Actually, with new opportunities opening up in this market because of LLMs. But at the same time, there's also risk, right? If we just take whatever LLMs that's coming from, you know, for example, from the Silicon Valley, there may be biases and risk there. I think defining this right value, aligning it, humans are still very, very important, right? So I think we cannot totally let a human out of the equation.
Then I have an add-on question about this.
Yes.
Because AI, definitely we need to have something to restrict it. Yeah. So if Singapore government or any local government has such kind of the plan to do such kind of regulation to constrain the AI capability to make it harmless.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say it like constraint, sort of like more like governance kind of thing. I think in IMDA, we do have this project called AI Verify. So that's the framework that I think it's been there for a while, but I think it's sort of like being adapted to the LLM kind of world, right? And I think we sort of like having a lot of discussions, not just internally in Singapore, but also with the region as well, you know, how we can sort of like socialize this idea so that, you know, AI don't create a problem for our region.
Yeah, I just want to add that, like, you know, I can't really talk about, you know, government, whether they can restrict this by law. But definitely, right, when enterprise building, the battleground is actually on the rack, building rack. That's where we see a lot of customer trying to build their own rack. I think this is where the next battleground is, right? Trying to get very, very domain-specific knowledge, able to pull out the data and build a really, really good rack. I think that's where the next battleground is. Not so much on fine-tuning or doing on the LLM side, because it's too expensive, right? That's probably your job, Alibaba's job, right? But from an enterprise side, how to leverage that and do their own grounding in the company. I think that's where the battleground is.
Professor, do you have any add-on this topic?
Yeah, so I agree. So currently, so I think pre-training and fine-tuning the model is still very expensive. So that's why we are trying to build a better software to maximize the performance of hardware. Hopefully, we can reduce the cost. So in the future, we hope actually all the different enterprises they can fine-tune their own model just with a few $1,000s.
Yeah, so because suddenly I have a new idea, but abandon the original question for you. I have a new question for you because you know that to training the LLM or even to adopt the AI will consume a lot of power, right? No matter the machine power or the storage power. But on the other side, we're talking about carbon emission control. So how to balance these two things from your perspective? Because I know your expertise on this part.
You know, sorry. Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think the easy answer is, of course, to buy products from Professor. But also, I think in our mind, I think not everybody needs to pre-train models. You know, I think if there's one, I know Alibaba is building one that people can just use as a base and do continued pre-training, right? I think if everybody is doing this, I think it's very, very bad for the environment, right? Also, it's not that easy to find GPUs anywhere right now. So in my opinion, we need to be a little bit more responsible, building good base LLM, opening it up so that, you know, sort of like reducing the amount of other efforts which can harm the environment.
Yeah, thank you. Professor?
Yeah, so I think pre-training the huge model is crazy, also very expensive. I think hopefully we can have some good foundation models. We may have open source foundation models or other non-open source or model like ChatGPT. But I think different enterprises, they can just fine-tune their own data on these foundation models. Fine-tuning the cost and also the energy cost can be much lower. Yeah, so we are also trying to build a better software to minimize the data movement. From our research, we found the data movement actually is 10 times more expensive than the computation.
Thank you. And then the last question goes to William. So from your perspective, how can companies ensure data robustness and quality and accessibility of AI initiative across the organization? Because that is a lot of data right now today, and data governance is a very challenging topic for us.
It's a very difficult question, by the way. I do think that the old pre-ChatGPT style of data governance, they're all still very, very important. I think, you know, we definitely need to keep them, right? But I think in the post-ChatGPT world, I think I think it very simple, right? There are new data artifacts, right? I would say that, you know, in the past you built Python scripts or some other scripts, you know, to do fine-tuning and so on. I think you can, right now you can do it with a simple prompts. You know, I would say that prompts is like a new data artifacts, right? How do you manage this thing, right? How do you govern and so on, right? I mean, not to mention all the issue with the potential privacy concern there as well, right? I think more fundamentally, when it comes to data quality, I think there's a lot of difference now, right? These LLMs kind of move the whole field to more unstructured kind of data, right? In the past, I think you know, AI worked better for structured data. Now for unstructured, it works well as well. I give a simple example, right? You know, when we are dealing with sentiment analysis, a simple example in the past, the label used to be structured, categorical, positive, negative, neutral, and all that. Today, if you apply the same thing, I mean, the LLMs will probably give you positive because of whatever, right? You know, you have to, how do you apply the same data quality metrics in the past for this kind of new world, right? And I think as enterprise, we tend to keep track of the output of our AI and the conversation with the customers so that we can, it becomes like a feedback loop, right? And because of the open-ended nature of all these things now, because it becomes unstructured, right? You know, can you afford to check them? You know, there's no like one universal metrics to assess whether there's bias in there or not. You know, if you don't check them carefully, it may actually go back in your feedback loop and then create problem in the future. I mean, add on another dimension, going back to the regional focus that I'm currently looking at, right? It's, I think in the past also people sort of like building data more from the English-centric kind of perspective. When I think we experience when we go and build data for the regions, it's not that easy. The quality standard is probably not there, So it's all difficult problems in my opinion. And I don't know whether we have a solution. This feels like super evolving very rapidly. I think in my opinion, people should definitely consider investing in a team that basically dedicate their mind, looking at this space, data governance in the new world. Right? Or if you don't have the capacity to do that, maybe should probably work with partners like vendors or research institutions that can help, inform the decision in this area. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to quickly add that we should talk definitely after the session.
Of course.
But William rightly pointed out, like today, data quality is a big challenge, right?
Yes.
As I mentioned earlier, today 80–90% of all enterprise data are unstructured, right? And it's a treasure trove of knowledge and information that it's not been tapped right now, right? Like if you want to find out like what's the best material or knowledge, like it's all in the training video, right? And today your AI cannot access that information. Or it's stored in some PowerPoint or some PDF. Because it's unstructured, the AI just cannot access it, right? And this is some of the biggest challenge of other enterprise. The way is to make sure that we are able to help them to infuse it into the way so that it is searchable. And this is one of the biggest challenge we find in building a rack as well. And go to the point of, earlier you mentioned about cybersecurity, right? We always say that, we are the good guys, right? We use AI, but guess what? The bad guys are also using AI, right? So it's really, it's AI versus AI world. So, we're in a very different era now, and just a very interesting time to be on. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, I want to invite you guys to summarize one point as a takeaway for our audience today before I release them for lunch. Okay?
Start with me?
Yeah, start with you.
I guess with regard to AI, for all the business owners and leaders in the industry, just be creative. I think is the most important thing. And then lastly, I would add is, understand the regulation, ethical implications is equally important. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, go out and just try, right? But just be careful.
Thank you. Yeah. Professor?
Okay, so I believe so for enterprise AI, so I believe the current open source model is good enough. So if it didn't work for your real world application, probably the real problem is the data. Like the open source model like Llama 2, already 70 billion parameters. I believe they have enough intelligence for enterprise application. Yeah.
Thank you.
I adopt the same maxim. I think go out and try, right? Because I think it feels, at least personally to me, it feels different when you experience using this AI yourself, right? Versus you just listening it from I don't know, from reading papers or listening from podcasts and so on. You kind of appreciate more experientially the danger as well as the possibility of this, right? I think, and then especially if we are leaders, right? Be familiar with this experience and sort of like, I would imagine that the workforce is actually quite confused right now. There's a lot of changes going on. I think helping them to navigate this, by setting the right policy that's based on your own experience of using it, I think that would be really, really helpful. So I think that's a responsible thing to do.
All right, thank you, everybody. Let's embrace the AI era. It will come in anyway. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.